Hi everybody, my name's Hilary and I'm a ballet instructor with Oklahoma Performing Arts in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And today we are going to learn a little bit about pointe shoes. These are quite an object of fascination for a lot of people, and there's a lot of different cool aspects about pointe shoes that a lot of people don't know about. So today you're going to get the inside look into the different parts of a pointe shoe, how you kind of get them ready to dance with, and then different personalizations a dancer can do to their shoe, as well as what it takes to get to the point where you're ready to dance on pointe. It takes a lot of time and training for that. So we're going to talk a little bit about all of that today. So pointe shoes were invented in about the 1830s or so. They've come a very long way since then. There are so many different companies that make pointe shoes, and then within those companies there's tons of different styles of shoes that you can get, and they're all different from one another. All pointe shoes are custom made in a sense and handmade, so there definitely a lot of care and time go into making these shoes. So think about when you get a new pair of shoes, you might be looking for a certain color or style. Maybe one stands out to you more than another one, and that kind of goes into the process of how somebody selects their shoe as well. So this one here is pretty new. As you can tell, the satin is pretty shiny. It's not very dirty. These haven't really been used at all yet. So they're pretty much right out of the box. These are Capezio pointe shoes, and we're going to go over the different parts of the shoe first. So on the back here you have the sole, which is made out of a leather material. On the inside you have the shank portion of the shoe, and this is what supports the dancer and holds them up. It's pretty strong, so it's not very easy to bend, and this is what is supporting the foot and then supporting the whole body. And you'll see in my other pair over here, this is a lot softer because they're older and they've been used for a long time. So that's the shank. There's pretty much layers of cardboard that make up the shank and determine how hard and sturdy it is. Looking at the front, we have little strings here to tighten the shoe around the foot, and then this portion in the front is called the vamp. So there's a point where the satin gets a little bit harder. Up here it's a little bit more flexible, but then this starts to get more sturdy, and there's glue in here to make that happen, and that's called the vamp. This portion here is the platform, so this is the portion that's actually touching the floor when the dancer is up on pointe. And then this whole section that you put your foot into is called the box, and this is made with fabric and lots of glue to harden it up. And you can stick your foot inside the shoe. It's hollow on the inside. A lot of people think that there's like a block of wood inside the shoe. That's not true. You have to put your foot inside of it, so there's nothing inside of that area. It's just a bunch of hardened fabric there. So this shoe, like I said, is newer, so not much has been done to it in regards to personalization, or even just getting some of the next things on the shoe. The only thing that really has changed is that there was satin on this platform here, but I cut it off, and that helps you with avoiding slippery surfaces with your dancing. All right, so looking at an older shoe here, you can see straight away that it is a lot dirtier. There's some black markings all throughout the shoe from different stages and such. So these shoes are pretty old, and they're a lot more flexible when it comes to this sole and the shank portion of the shoe. So they've been used quite a bit and bent down a lot. As you can see, there's been elastic that's been sewn on here to support the ankle. So that's one thing that you do have to sew by yourself, by hand, whenever you get your shoes, to make them stay on your foot. And this elastic is pretty strong. Has a little bit of give to it, but that will keep the shoe on your foot. And then of course the ribbons need to be sewn on as well. And there's a specific way that you tie the ribbons to make sure that there's the most support for your foot. So whenever you see ballerinas on TV and such, they are doing all of this to their shoes to get them ready and prepared. Now you can even go beyond that and make certain personalizations to your shoe. So like we talked about, you can cut off this section here to make sure you're not slipping as much on the floor. You can sew a little edge around this platform, which is called darning, to make sure that you have a sturdy base for your foot. Let's see, what else can you do? You can actually rip layers of this inside shank portion of the shoe that's holding you up. You can rip layers out if you wanted to. Some people will do that because it's just little layers of cardboard. As you can see there's some layers popping out. So you can rip that out. You can scrape the bottom of your shoe to make sure you're getting a little bit more friction, and again to decrease the chance of slipping on a floor. So there's certainly all kinds of things you can do to make these shoes the way that you want them to be. And one of the most common things, I think, especially in movies and such, is people will slam their brand new shoes on the floor, on the concrete, or bend them in a door just to soften them up and reduce the noise whenever you're dancing or jumping, and you don't want that loud sound whenever you hit the floor. Some other things that are interesting whenever you're using the shoes is that you want to make sure you're protecting your feet, and from all kinds of things like ripped toenails or blisters, and sometimes they're a little bit unavoidable, but you can do certain things to make sure that you're at least protecting yourself a little bit. So using band-aids or tape can help a lot, but you can also use little pouches for your toes here. I have an ouch pouch here. And this is kind of a little fabric and gel sleeve that you can just put your foot in, and then you can put your foot and this inside the Pointe shoe, so you have a little bit of support with your toenails. Another thing is just lamb's wool is something that can go inside the shoe and scrunch up to create a little bit more padding for specific toes if you have one toe that's longer than the other and you need to balance things out. So those are some things that you can use as well. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was, when do people really start to dance on pointe? And that is going to be different for every student, but for most students who start dancing when they're very young, at age 3 or 4, they'll have to go through many years of basic training before they're ready to dance on pointe. So I would say maybe around age 11 or 12 is when a lot of students who started young will begin using pointe shoes. And it's a pretty slow process. You want to make sure that you're strong enough and flexible enough to use the shoe without hurting yourself, because it does put a lot of stress on your knees, ankles, and toes, and you certainly don't want to rush into things and then end up getting hurt. So it takes a lot of time and preparation, and each student will work with their teacher to make sure that they're all ready to go and in a great place to start dancing. Again, for watching. Once again, I'm Hilary from Oklahoma Performing Arts. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll hope to see you again next time.